guys, welcome back to another video, and it is already week 8 of college football, so let's predict all of the best games from week 8 in college football. So let's get right into it with our first game, a heck of a game, 7 Penn State at 3 Ohio State. This game was a tight game last year. Ohio State ended out with a win, a really tight game. This time it's at Ohio State. It'll be tough for an undefeated team like Penn State. They haven't really played anybody yet, but this is their first big opponent that they have to play. At Ohio State, it's going to be tough. Ohio State has a great offense, Kyle McCord and Marvin Harrison Jr. I have Penn State upsetting Ohio State 27-24. Penn State, I really believe that their offense was great. I mean, they put up 63 points last week versus I think it was Central Michigan. It was a great game for them, but I know it's Central Michigan. But they still put up 63 points in a game, which is really hard to do. Their offense is great. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a little low-scoring game at the start, but towards the end of the game, I think they'll pick it up as I have Penn State winning. Next game, UCF at 6 Oklahoma. Oklahoma, their big win versus Texas. That's what everybody's talking about when they think of Oklahoma. That's the only reason they're ranked number 6. They are undefeated, but this is one of their or last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever they played Texas, that was their only really impressive game that they've had so far. I think 6 might be a little high. They've got a good offense right now. I think they'll beat UCF 42-28. Sooners on top. Next game, this is a SEC game. It's South Carolina at 20 Missouri. Missouri, I was really impressed with their win last week versus Kentucky, and I predicted Missouri to beat Kentucky, which I think was a really good pick. And they did. Their receivers were so impressive. And Georgia has to play them in a couple of weeks, so that could potentially decide the SEC East, which is going to be a really crucial game to see. One of the big reasons we'll see whoever's going to be in the SEC championship game. So Missouri and their offense, I think, is too explosive for a South Carolina defense at home. I have 20 Missouri beating South Carolina 34-26, which is crazy for South Carolina. That with all the hype that they've had this year, they're now 2-5 if they lose this game, which is not great for them. Next game, this was a great game last year. You might already know what I'm talking about. It is Tennessee at Alabama. It's going to be in Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's going to be a rowdy game for Alabama. And you never know, there might be a lot of Tennessee fans there too. Based off of last year, it was a crazy game, 52-49, a game-winning kick by Chase McGrath. Tennessee getting the win. But this time it's at Alabama. Different team for both teams. There's 2 different quarterbacks. Jalen Milroe, who can run it and sometimes throw it, but a little risky throws, a little inaccurate, compared to Joe Milton, who can't really run, but he can throw it probably 80 yards. He's got a heck of an arm, but I think Tennessee's offense, based off of last week versus Texas A&M, a little slow. I have Bama holding them out 30-24. Roll Tide. Next game, we got Washington State at 9 Oregon. Oregon lost last week versus Washington, and it was a really tough game. This time it's Washington State that they're playing. Oregon is a very talented team with Bo Nix, Troy Franklin, Bucky Irving. Great offense for them. I have them beating Washington State, which Washington State was ranked probably 15 earlier in the year. But I have Oregon getting the win 38-17, Ducks on top. Next game, we got 2 Michigan at Michigan State. And this is a rivalry game, and it's got some great history, and it's coming into another tight battle at Michigan State. But this time, Michigan State is not very good this year. Michigan will overpower them with their great run game, great offensive line, getting the win 37-17. Number 2 Michigan getting the win. Next game, we got 13 Ole Miss at Auburn, and Auburn is a tough place to play at. You saw that with Georgia. Georgia had some trouble getting going. They ended up losing 27-20, but still an impressive game from Auburn. And Ole Miss has a really explosive offense, but at the same time, Auburn has a good defense. I think this will mix together. Ole Miss will overpower, though, getting the win, 31-21. Ole Miss getting the win. Next game, we got 14 Utah at 18 USC. And if you're not familiar with this game, Utah won twice last year versus USC. One was at Utah, a heck of a game in the regular season to break USC's undefeated streak. And then in their conference championship, Utah overpowered them, getting the win in that one. And I actually have Utah, which I think they're favored. They're ranked 4 more than them, which is better, which is they're 14. USC's 18 after that loss to Notre Dame. I have Utah beating them another time. Heartbreaking for USC, but yes, I have them losing twice in a row, almost third because they almost lost to Arizona, but 41-28, Utah on top. Next game, we got Mississippi State at Arkansas. 2 great offenses. Will Rogers, he's a little inconsistent, I'll say, but he has experience, which is really an odd combination to have much experience and not be that consistent. And then this is versus Arkansas's KJ Jefferson. He can run it. Sometimes he dives in the end zone like Superman. He reminds me of Cam Newton so much. This is going to be at Arkansas. I have it being a really tight game at Arkansas. I have the Razorbacks getting the win, 26-23, Razorbacks on top. Next game, this is interesting in this one because this was a tight one last year. It's TCU at Kansas State, and this was the Big 12 championship last year. A wild game, came down to the wire, and Kansas State won 31-28 by 3 points, and I have them doing that again, winning by 3 points versus TCU, 34-31, Kansas State getting the win. Next game, we got 16 Duke at Florida State. Florida State's offense has been on a roll this year, especially some impressive games, beating Clemson, beating LSU. They're on a run right now, a huge powerhouse in college football. If you're playing them, you should be scared. And this team's really, really good, especially at Florida State. With all that crowd stuff, it's going to be hard. I have Florida State getting the win, 39-17. With Duke's quarterback getting injured versus Notre Dame, it's not looking that great considering for Duke, considering that they were really great at the start of the season, then just everything just came downhill really quickly for them. I have Florida State getting the win. Next game, we got Virginia and North Carolina. North Carolina, they barely won one last week at Miami, or it might have been at North Carolina, I'm not sure, but they did get the win. It was a really tight game. This one is at North Carolina, and I saw the Virginia game versus Tennessee at the beginning of the season. Not so great for them. Based off of that game, I already know that North Carolina will cream them, which is my prediction, 31-13. I guess you consider that a cream. I do, but I have North Carolina getting the win. Our last game is Clemson at Miami, and Miami, with all that stuff, it's going to be at Miami, which is really, really tough. With a rowdy crowd. This is versus Clemson, a Clemson team who really just has a defense. Their offense has not been that impressive. I think Will Shipley should be a little better than what has been expected from him this season. I have Miami, after barely losing to North Carolina last week, getting the win, 34-20. I guess you would consider that an upset. I at least do. I have Miami getting the win. Thank you guys for watching this Wiggins football predictions video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll see y'all on the next one.